Delicious.
Excellent. I feel like I have a little bit of extra bass in my voice today.
Bottom. Got a nice bottom.
Little bottom.
I need to get some bass to my voice.
No. You. I think you balance me out too. We don't need too much bass. I don't think anyone is here yet. Although I think we are live on YouTube officially. I always like to open another tab and mute it so that we don't get the nice echo effect. And then I like to monitor our chat as we go. Arby, how do you handle that in your own podcasting responsibilities? You do something similar, or?
Yeah, I just have it open on my end, and then if I see something that like needs to be brought up, I bring it up on the screen. Especially if they're giving like a compliment to the guest or something like that to make it a little nice for them.
Excellent. Well, we are actually live now, so that's super duper cool. And we'll just jump right into it. Let's see if I can figure this out properly the first time. Look at us go.
Look at you.
Yeah, looking good.
A real professional at this. So for those of us joining today that may not be familiar with this format, it is a little bit weird right now because there's three of us, and normally one of them is named Nick.
I can change my name.
Oh, that would be nice. No, please don't. So the thing that's different today, before we introduce our esteemed guest here, is Ari has decided to join me to help me out because the efforts of lifting this is actually quite decent, and we want to do it right if we're going to do it at all. So I felt like having Nick as a proverbial co-pilot, and that's apt because he is a pilot in and of himself, so he knows how to fly. I do not. Maybe he should be the pilot.
You don't want to fly with me,
right? But I figured
if you want to come out of it alive.
Arby can help out, and she's quite dynamic. She has a great personality. She asks poignant questions. She does her own podcast. So go ahead, Arby, introduce yourself.
I appreciate it. And thank you, Brian. I know we spoke about this like a little bit ago and I just wasn't ready at the time. So I appreciate you coming back. But yeah, I'm excited to be here, get to know your guests, just talk about life, leadership in general. I have my own podcast, like you said, about pre-sales unplugged, where I talk about anything from pre-sales, sales. You were a guest on my podcast and it was, I know we talked about this before, but the most downloaded episode that I've had. So You must have said something good there. No, but it was fun overall.
Every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Andy knows you have to watch what comes out of my mouth. So
yeah. Well, I think that's what people appreciated, that you were like super direct and you don't try to hide, what you're not. And you were, you went for it. You spoke your beliefs and being a leader in general. And I think that's what was appreciated because a lot of people just try to sugarcoat how they say things. And, I guess directness right now is appreciated.
Maybe they should sugarcoat it though, because like I've been given advice through my career that tells me to not be the way that I am.
Yeah.
I mean,
jump right in, Andy. Jump right in, man.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Andy Meyer. I work for Gotham Technology Group. I run their professional services team. I'm happy to be here today. I've known Brian for quite a while. I just met Arby this morning. So, glad to be here. But yeah, I've gotten similar advice, right? Very early on, we were acquired by somebody in my career. I was under 30, but I was a manager, and the new CEO came in, as is always with an acquisition, and everybody did a defend your life session with them. And I came in, and he says, "I heard you're hard on people," and I said, "Well, yeah, but I'm hard on myself." And he's like, "Yeah, but that stuck with me. 25 years later, it still comes to mind whenever I lack kindness in dealing with a person, or I lack a situational awareness that everybody's got something going on, right? And being a leader and getting a message across and inspiring others to do things takes a lot, right? You need to be of the person and less self-interested than you might be in another situation. So it's never easy.
I got a question about that. Like they said that you're harsh. They said that you were hard on people.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that you would have kept on being hard on people had someone not said anything to you at that time?
Yeah, I think so. I think at the time we were all kind of grinding through. It's not an easy industry. This isn't a business for the faint of heart, as I tell people when I interview them for a role in our place. But I think it's, early on manager lesson learned. Still comes out sometimes. I'm sure my friends and colleagues will tell you, but it's part of what makes me me. And the directness certainly, I think, is appreciated by some. Some find it intimidating. Sometimes it's uncalled for, and I really shouldn't do it. So constantly learning lessons, always being open to that is I think part of being a successful leader is knowing when, you have to push people sometimes, and sometimes you're the guy that just kind of stops with you, and you have to make a decision, and it's for the better of the organization. Sometimes it's better for the people, sometimes it's not. But hopefully at the end of the day, you're doing things that are in everyone's best interest.
Oh my goodness. I could eat up the rest of the time just with that. But Harvey, you seemed like you had a question.
I was going to ask if you guys read the book, Radical Candor.
No, I've not.
Great book. So I'll tell you like the other side of the perspective. When I first started just in my career, I'm like the opposite of you guys. I'm like a super nice person. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, or at least I was. I've changed. But that was me in the beginning. So when I had people just tell me directly how it was, I would kind of take it personally. But honestly, there is no other way to just survive in this business in general, or just in your career. And the leaders I've learned the most from have been people that were super direct with me about what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong. And then I read the book Radical Candor, and it talks about how you, as a leader, you want to be ruthlessly direct, but also caring about their personal life, whatever that looks like. And that makes the best leader. So highly recommend it. It sounds like you fit exactly in that good box, because I have like 4 boxes of, bad leadership and then the good one. But I will say, at least being from the other side of what Andy mentioned, you're hard on people. And in the beginning, I was on the receiving end of that. And that was hard on me. But then I learned that is the best way to learn. So I do appreciate directness a lot more now.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between being direct and harsh and being direct and unkind, and
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, really good.
And understanding what is, everybody's got something going on in their world, right? And I think if you can attract and retain people for a long period of time and the company's successful, I think that speaks to to leadership, right? When you become a leader, you have less tangible necessarily artifacts to show this is what I did, right? This is what I produced. A salesperson makes a number, an engineer implements a project, right? Those types of things, and those are tangible successes. We write success stories and case studies around them, publish them as marketing artifacts, and try and grow and maintain the business that way. As a leader, you have less, those people doing those things effectively and being happy with that. That's your evidence of your feedback on what you're doing as a leader. It becomes less tangible, but you need to look for that, and there's certainly joy in that to be found, to see people do that, and you continue to push down to them more responsibility, and as the business grows and evolves, senior leaders are called into managing up and being involved in the numbers of the business more than the technology than ever. And but the technology still needs to be addressed and delivered, and the people need to be cared for. So we need to find that balance, right? It's not an easy task. And maintain your sanity internally, personally, right? We all have our own needs. I'm human too.
Andy was harsh at one point in time, but now we have people coming into the chat. Andy's the GOAT. Andy's the man. So like you must have like
I love that
along the way to change that perception. But I really only prepared one question for this, and maybe that was stupid or amateur of me, but I think that we could probably soak up the whole entire conversation with it. But you have been at Gotham for 20 years.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. It's
That is
really
incredible.
a long time. And you know, it's a long time. It makes me old by just default. But
Yeah,
um,
hopefully I won't
I got
offend
started
Ivan.
early. I was a teenager when I got into the business. So.
I was gonna hopefully I don't offend Ivan or anything like this, but why? Why have you been there for so long?
Oh, it's a wonder. It really is. It's been you know, it depends on what you. There's all kinds of different roles you can play in this business, right? I started out in IT. I was a PC technician, first job out of school, and then you know I was running the department, the technician team within 3 years. Got into more leadership roles there. Went into the consulting side. Did you know there was a cycle that a lot of people are on where you do 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, and you move, you hop up. I did that for a while, maybe 10 years. Hopped around to a few different places, learned some lessons along the way, but always competed against Gotham, no matter what role I was in the New York metro area. So
Wow.
they were formidable. They were a formidable competitor. Madison before Gotham, and slowly some of my friends went there, and eventually there was a role for me, and met with leadership, went there, and since then it's been just a great role of growth. I think we've quadrupled in size in my tenure there.
Yes.
Privately held company, no outside money, you know, which is, you know, makes those things harder to do, right? There's not a lot of free flowing cash as there are in some of our competitors. But, you know, very successful with that. And, you know, the tenure of the people there, it's not uncommon. You know, I'm 20 years in, I'm still one of the new guys in some circles in Gotham.
Wow.
Yeah, there's folks who've been longer than that, and it's a very strong team. And we, you know, our average tenure in the technical world is, gosh, at this point, it's got to be over 8 years at Gotham. So that's pretty uncommon, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that I mean, obviously there's a relationship element of things. You guys are just champions and rock stars across the board, but I would say like if the technology support wasn't there, and like shout out to Brian Wagner, for example,
Oh yeah,
and Hank, like those guys,
foundation of my
absolute
success.
machines. Like these
Yeah.
guys are like really. I mean, the thing is, like when you look at technology, it's so ubiquitous. You just kind of look at it on the surface. You don't understand or know that there are real people that support this at the end of the day. I mean, if you've been to a hospital system in the greater New York metro area, then Hank or Brian probably have touched your lives in some way. You just don't even know it.
Oh, absolutely. I've been in them, and I look at the terminals and I look at the connectivity, and like, yeah, we did that. So I know it's going to
Well,
work. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, no, the impact is long and lasting and widespread for sure across the whole team. Just the depth of talent, and you know, people who are really committed to doing good things for customers and who care. And I think that's important to be successful, you know, on this side of the business. You need to stay smart, right? I always tell my teams, you know, customers engage us because we know a little bit more than they do, right? They know their business, they know their people, their systems. However, what's next is not always clear to them, and it's important to, you know, always maintain that curiosity. That's, you know, like, I love Ted Lasso, right? Because he's curious, and
yeah.
you know, I just, that's how I live too. I ask questions about everything. I walk into a rest area or whatever, and a Buc-ee's. I don't know if you've ever been to a Buc-ee's. We could talk about that. But I go in and start talking to people like, how does this work? How do you guys do this? You know, they're doing rest areas at scale. And if you've never been to a Buc-ee's, you got to go if you see one on the highway. But yeah, I digress. I think it's the team is incredible, and you know, start with Ken Phelan and the Silverman family being as leaders. You know, it's been just a great recipe for everyone to have a place that's, you know, they can call home. They feel comfortable working hard at, that they're going to be rewarded and cared for. I mean, all the things you said earlier, right? And what keeps people comfortable? If you go to management school and Maslow hierarchy of needs, and you know, the foundational needs, you're, you know, having money, being able to pay your rent, food, all that stuff, and then you're moving up to personal growth, and then eventually to actualization. You're in a place where, you know, you're all doors are open for you to do that if you're capable and curious enough to do it, right? It's not, again, not for the weak of heart. So not everybody succeeds, but there's been so many. I could run off names that, you know, without them, I'm nothing. So I'm very all those people.
Oh, and my apologies. I meant Ira. So we have a bunch of questions coming in here. I think this one is really great. The question was, what keeps driving you forward? because we're assuming that what motivated you 20 years ago what motivates you now
Yeah.
is like vastly different than that. I think that's a fair assessment. What motivates you now after 20 years?
I think it's, I was around when in the late 90s when the internet came to be in powerhouse, right? And, I sat there in when the bubble burst, and then we went through Y2K, and, all sat there looking at Amazon at two and change a share, and like, oh my gosh, they should have known their book selling wasn't going to work. So, yeah, anyway, full of regrets from that space. But we're at another point now. I think the introduction of AI into the world, and the radical change that we're going through is, I think, probably more important than and more impactful than the introduction of the internet, right?
Yes.
And back then too, I'm a fan of never forgetting the lessons of the past, right, and mistakes of the past, so that otherwise we're doomed to repeat them. But we all thought the internet was going to take everybody's jobs, and it was going to be all powerful thing. And what are we going to do? E-commerce was going to shut down all the brick and mortar stores, and all of that was going to go away. And it didn't happen, right? The buzz settled down. We figured out how to use the tool. We figured out what the role that humans played in all of that, and we made it part of the economy. And smart people. Some smart people got really rich, and then some others got behind. And that's just kind of with every technology innovation. And I think it's going to happen here, but I think the opportunities are huge for folks who are beyond the technical side, right? In being successful in technology, you had to have an engineering background, a programming background, and have some technical mind to do that. I think the tooling that's available today is going to bring creative minds into the mix that have never been there before, and going to enable them to do great things with it, and be dangerous potentially a little bit, but with the right guardrails, I think it's going to open up opportunities to do all kinds of new things, creatively and technically. So I'm scared and excited at the same time. But that keeps me moving forward.
Crazy.
Right? I'm challenging myself to keep learning, right? And I love the tooling in terms of being able to use it in business and in my personal life. And then I'm watching these technical rock stars. Brian Wagner, I think, built 3 or 4 apps this week alone.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and he's been killing it. Absolutely, he shows up every single day saying, "Look what I did today," and that stuff's infectious, and it infects me, inspires me, and I hope it inspires some others as well. So it's keeping that innovation.
I was going to say, Andy. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were done. I was just going to say, what a time to be alive. Like, you've been through 2 of the biggest booms, like, in just the whole world. Like, before the internet boom, and then now the AI.
Yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's been great to see, and we just stay curious and keep observing, and I have dreams, right? Things I want to do next, and I see somebody asked that question too. What keeps me moving forward? I want to keep working to fund my dreams as well. Just to be practical and real about it as well. Business pays well if you're successful, and if you do the right things, you can achieve things. I was born one of 6 kids in a semi-attached row house in Brooklyn, New York. Raised in a great family, but we never had a lot of money. We just, we weren't that family. I didn't have a car for most of my childhood. We didn't have one, that kind of thing. We were lucky to have our own house. So, being able to live in a suburb of New York City, put 3 kids through college, go to concerts with my wife and travel when we can, outside of the work time, it's been a blessing. So I've had a great run, and been fortunate enough to work for folks who reward that and honor that and value it. So,
and that's really hard to find, especially right now, because everybody's like. Yesterday, actually, I heard this concept that's going around that I'd heard of it before, but not as a whole concept. The 996, where some leaders require you to work 9 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was like, what? How is that even like productive for people working that much? Like, I know I'm young too, but I'm like, I don't think my brain could survive that whole. I'd be just dead by Sunday, and then thinking that I have to do it again on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, if the work really demands that, I think I've always been as a leader, a believer in working hard when you're on the clock, and when you're off the clock,
Yeah.
really try and split it, because you functionally as human, you just need that. Your brain needs to shut down or shift gears, at
Oh
least
yeah.
to a lane that's not as abrasive and whatnot. Go out, take a walk, enjoy the sunshine, take a day off, take a long weekend if you need it. But when you're in, right? Be focused, be energetic, be curious, be committed, and but I don't believe in taking it home
Yeah.
and living the life. It's not healthy, and
Yeah.
some require that, absolutely, and it's not easy to get jobs, and you can't always pick and choose where you want to work and how
That's
you're going
true.
to
Yeah.
be treated. So it's there is some, I guess you can call it luck, right? To that, if you're in the right
Yeah.
role, if you follow your heart and get associated with good people and make good connections and build your network more, you'll be better served. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's seasons to it for sure, right? Like there's even as a business owner, like there's seasons where you do need to do that type of work, but it's not a constant. I mean, Brian, you can
Yes.
probably attest to that at this point.
I was
It's
gonna
impossible. You're gonna burn out and just
I was gonna
feel
ask
like,
about the 4-day work week concept. Like we don't really hear a lot about it, but I know, for example, like Tricerit. Do you remember Tricerit, Andy?
Yep,
Great,
sure.
great management company out of Baltimore. They switched over to a 4-day work week. It was like big. It was in the Baltimore newspaper and everything like that. I haven't heard really much about it, but I guess just tangentially, when will you end your workday today, Andy?
Today, oh, it's Friday, so it might be, in the latest afternoon. Well, look, your workday varies depending on your role, right? We're in the billable hours business, so I have folks I need them to work 8 hours today, bill 8 hours today, right? That's got to happen. It's just foundational to the business. I don't bill by the hour, but I was up at 6:30 this morning, and first thing I'm checking is my work email, and then I'm looking at my calendar and what
yeah.
time's coffee today, and building the day around that. On the
You
normal work, it varies, but 5:30, 6 o'clock, I do try and shut down, have dinner with my family. I've always made that a priority, right? Is raising the kids, and then getting the family together for dinner. I think has been a foundation for success with ourselves, the communication that we have, and
yes.
yeah. So, doing that has been important to me, and finding time for them has been important to me too. I coached a lot of baseball. My two of my kids were theater kids, and I never missed a performance, and I didn't miss a baseball game for my youngest, and I have no regrets about that.
We
Love
just
that.
we just started baseball up again. So shout out to the baseball parents out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the way I look at it now. Like I'm a recent father. My oldest is 7, and I have a 1.5-year-old. But basically, like when I think about my time and the time that I spend with people, on the other side of that scale is my kids. I'm like, if I'm spending time with you and it's not valuable, I'm robbing that time from my kids.
Yep.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. You're right, from yourself, and therefore from yourself, right? Look, there's only so many summers that you get on this planet, and I'm here to tell you, when you go through some things and you get a couple miles under your belt, they become more and more important to you. And I have 3 adult children now, and I couldn't be prouder of them. And I think a lot of it has to do with the commitment that we as parents put into spending time with them, and doing that. And we have very few regrets right now, but you never regret. I wish I hadn't gone to all those baseball games, right?
Hey, look at this!
Look at that comment.
I can only assume this is one of your kids.
That's
Yeah.
my daughter, Erin.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Aaron, thanks for joining us.
Yes, Erin. Just give a shout out to her. She's an engineering manager at Michelin in South Carolina. Fast track for success with that company, and someday she's going to be the CEO if North America, if she has her way. So yeah, we're all that time. It's you never get it back, but that's what a lifetime is. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get philosophical here. It's the stack of memories that you build, right? Because that's the capital that you're going to have when it's all said and done. You're going to have that I did this, I did this, I did this. I like to live life out loud. That's what I say, and that's go to the concert, buy the tickets. Life is short. Take the trip. Absolutely.
Cry. Cry about it.
Absolutely. Tell people you love them. Make it weird.
Yeah.
Make it weird. Right?
Make them feel awkward about it.
Absolutely. But keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Yeah.
I might steal that. Live life out loud. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's a way to do it, right? Everybody's hopes and dreams in their hearts. You got to let them out to the extent that you can.
Yeah, like every time I think about my kids, like I get a little emotional about it. Is that normal? Please help me.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah. And look, the threats that AI presents today, I think of my kids with that right today. They're all three professionals. One's an engineering manager, Aaron. I have two sons. One is in tech sales, and one's a fourth grade teacher. So they're in three separate industries, but each one of them is going to be impacted by this, right? And I'm sure Erin's dealing with, she's in manufacturing, so she's dealing with automation. And what's AI going to do to help build better, safer tires for Michelin? My son's in tech sales. He's using tools today, as everybody who's watching probably knows, and all those different types of things. And my youngest, fourth grade teacher, I mean, what's the future of education with AI, right? When anyone has in their hand the biggest brain in the entire world, as well as every bit of knowledge that's ever been accumulated. And how do you teach at that point, right? Because when they're outside the classroom, who knows what they're doing, how they're doing it. But foundational skills, and that's going to evolve. I'm excited for all of them, but I'm also scared for all of them at the same time.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept that you just bring up, because you have the biggest brain in the room. Like, how does the AI keep you accountable? Like, that's what the teachers do, is they keep the students accountable. I mean, obviously they bring the area of expertise and subject matter, but just because AI exists, does that become less relevant? I mean, maybe them knowing the myriad of information, but does them keeping students honest and engaged and happy, does that fundamentally change? Probably.
Yeah, I think it does. I think all of those things change. And, as you have to understand it as an educator and understand what's possible. And I think and look, education can be a bit of a bureaucracy as well, right? And what curriculum is developed over time, that never moves fast. And there's, obviously varying opinions on it. And we've gotten kind of dug into that in the last 10 years in this country as well.
Andy, I'm actually an advisor at a college, so I see the bureaucracy up close and personal. For example, the school that I'm a part of wanted to have an AI course, and you think that they could just go out there and have an AI degree program, but no, there's a consortium. They have to get tacit permission from other schools in the system as well.
Wow.
There's only certain time periods that they can even bring it to bear at all. It's so strange.
It is. Nothing's going to happen quickly there. So, somebody stop teaching knowledge, start modeling application of knowledge. Absolutely. That's one way to look at it. It's, I'm with younger children, again, because my focus is he's got a fourth grade. He's in elementary education. What are we doing with those kids, right? And what, he's doing addition. He's doing, addition, subtraction, division. It's not algebra yet at this point. So it's, basic things. Well, and who knows? But
the bar keeps getting raised higher and higher. How long until the fourth graders are learning practical applications of AI in the classroom? Correct. But hey, guys, it is 9:57, which means we have 3 minutes left. Believe it or not, this time is absolutely flown by. So with those last couple minutes, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Andy, but just for practical sake, and I'm sure, like you said, you got to get back on your team and make sure that they're putting those hours in. What would we close with? I mean, I would just say that, a show of appreciation to those people that showed up. Shout out to Aaron. Thanks for showing up and supporting your dad as well. We've had consistently 15 people listening to us this entire time, Andy. So I just, show my gratitude. Arvi, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that we do this again soon. We have another
for sure.
Interesting guest coming up. I'm sure that you guys know. Anything else that you guys would close with, Andy?
No, just live your life out loud. Days are numbered. That's kind of the way I roll. That's, love your family, tell your friends you love them, all those things. Be, ethical in the things that you do, and, look out for your fellow person. That's what I think we all need, a little bit more of that in this world. We didn't even talk about me being in a band. I mean, I got to give a shout out. My band's playing at the Mason Jar in Mahwah, New Jersey, May 15th, 8 p.m. And it's
there we go.
So got to come there. I'm half a rock star in my, my alter ego.
There we go.
I love that.
I had no idea, but that's amazing. Yes. And Arvi.
I don't know if I can go after that. Andy just closed it really, really well. But no, I just want to say thank you for having me, Brian and Andy. You've been lovely to get to know a little bit. Hopefully we'll get to do it again soon. Just excited to be here. If Brian threw me to the wolves today, I didn't really know what to expect. So
yeah, you know what we might have to do? We'll have to have like a musical guest on the show. We'll have Andy come and close it out one of these days.
Yeah, that'd be
Come
fun.
see me in person. It's better than live. Hey, have a great weekend. Thanks for the opportunity.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
See you guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Until next time.